The word church refers to people, not to a building. The very first church community of Christendom was in Jerusalem. Is it possible that this very first church in Jerusalem consisted of a bunch of communists? More after this. The very first church community is a congregation in Jerusalem. The leadership of this community is very likely in the hands of the apostles and of 7 elected deacons. The church is as much a faith community as it is a welfare system. The book of Acts describes the congregation as a wealth-sharing community that has disturbing similarities to communist society. Everybody surrendered their worldly possessions to the church, and the deacons would distribute the wealth so that all needs would be met. That sounds like modern socialism and throws a mean curveball to the free market enthusiasts among modern American Christians. They go to great lengths to perform intellectual gymnastics to explain this wealth-sharing feature of the early church away in order to save modern capitalism as God's preferred economic system. The best medicine against this kind of intellectual contortion is reading the text yourself and to understand that wealth-sharing in antiquity has nothing to do with modern socialism, and that the society of the Roman Empire was not a capitalist one. Both are modern categories that cannot be used to describe the self-understanding of ancient societies. Wealth sharing or not, the congregation was in no way free of conflict. The book of Acts reports that the Hellenized widows receive a smaller food ration than their Aramaic-speaking counterparts. The conflict is so severe that it made it into the Gospels that are written more than a generation later. And then there's also the story about Ananias and his wife Sapphira. They sell a piece of property and keep some of the proceeds for themselves. Peter accuses them to be possessed by Satan, and they drop dead. The community very much practices Judaism. The temple is still the center of their faith. They keep the Mosaic laws and they preach and teach in the portico of Solomon on the Temple Mount. That is part of the temple where the various teachers and the leaders of sects teach and debate. Here they preach about Jesus Christ, his death and his resurrection, which of course leads to conflict with those Jews who oppose the possibility that a human could be a divine being. Trinitarian theology, the belief in Father, Son and Holy Spirit, that virtually all Christians today ascribe to, is not a fully formed concept at this point in time. People still wrestle with the fact that Jesus is a very different Messiah than the people expected. This conflict leads to the first martyr of the Christian faith, Saint Stephen, who is a deacon of the Jerusalem church. He wins a debate against other Jewish teachers, and as a result they accuse him of blasphemy. He stands trial before the Sanhedrin, the Jewish council. In his defense, he denounces his accusers and the judges, and the result is that they stone him to death. Jesus was sent to Pilate. But it seems that when the Sanhedrin wants, no Roman involvement is necessary to kill an opponent. The execution of Saint Stephen is witnessed by one Saul of Tarsus, who will later have a vision of Jesus on his way to Damascus. This vision turns him into the apostle Paul. As apostle, he opens the faith to Gentiles, to non-Jews. And that leads to conflict with James, the brother of Jesus, who by this time is the leader of the community in Jerusalem. Some Christians do not believe that James, who was not one of the 12 apostles, was Jesus' brother in the biological sense. They assumed that James was a cousin, because Jesus, having siblings, would be in conflict with later theologies that teach that Mary, his mother, was a perpetual virgin. Having other children but Jesus undermines this idea. However, in the scriptures, James is called the brother of the Lord. With the church in Jerusalem as a home base, missionaries spread out throughout the Mediterranean world and to the east as far as India and even China. And their activities put Christianity on the map as a distinctive force in the religious spectrum of antiquity. Thanks for watching. Please like and share this video and subscribe to my channel.